I can't believe it's the final edition of Luke Who's Talking for the 2024 NFL season. Here's Luke Willson in New Orleans. Luke, you're at the comedy club, or where are you right now? What's going on?
I'm backstage at the comedy club, Jay. I had to make time to make sure we got Luke Who's Talking in, and I'm going out there right after this. I wish.
I love it. I could see you doing well at stand-up. Let's start with something the Chiefs talked about this week. They say they're embracing the role of villains. The team on the other side's from Philadelphia, Luke. Do you think anyone's really looking at the Eagles as the heroes of this story?
No, and you just said it, Jay. It's ridiculous. Oh, so what? They won 2 in a row, going for 3. That makes them the villains? Again, when I think of a villain, I do think of the New England Patriots because there's a lot of things with Bill Belichick and that kind of cast that people didn't like, not just as fans, but even coaches. I think of the Kansas City Chiefs. Andy Reid might be the most likable guy in the entire league. I mean, between the interviews, the food stuff he says, the fact that he's had the career he's had, just passed over 300 total wins. Every player that I know that's spoken about Andy Reid because they played for him speaks the world of the guy. He's the least villainous guy in the league. Steve Spagnuolo, all week, if you're listening to these guys on defense talk about what Spags has meant for them, he's like a father figure to them. This team has almost nothing to point at to call them the villain. You cannot like them because they've been successful. But if I'm thinking of a villain, it's the Philadelphia Eagles, and it's Nick Sirianni and all the theatrics, if you will, that goes on in that sideline. I mean, they got Dom the Bomb with a gold chain as their guy, as their security guy.
Dom would probably fit in well in New Orleans, I think. At the very least, he could get you out of jail if you got into trouble, right?
No question. He's probably got some connections down here.
I'm sure he does. But I will say there is one player that everyone seems to love on the Philadelphia Eagles, and that is Saquon Barkley, who is about to pass Terrell Davis for the most rushing yards in a season, regular season and playoffs combined. Very simple question, Luke. You shut down Saquon, you win the game. Is it as simple as that?
It is. 1,000%. Now, no one is able to shut down Saquon. So to me, Jay, I look at this matchup. I mentioned Steve Spagnuolo, and he's pretty famous for what he's done here in Kansas City with this defense. He's also pretty famous for being the defensive coordinator for the Giants when they stopped the 16-0 Patriots. To me, if he can somehow find a way to stop Saquon Barkley, that is just as impressive as what they were able to do to the New England Patriots that year. I don't know how you do it. I look at this offensive line before we get into Saquon, and across the board, they have absolute stars, studs, 1 through 5, both tackles, Mailata and Lane Johnson, unbelievable. You then go on your interior, Cam Jurgens, Landon Dickerson, and Mekhi Becton, who, shout out to Howie Roseman, has been a tremendous pickup and has played extremely well at the right guard position. So you got 5 horses, you got a tight end in Goddard that can block, and you have the best runner in the league right now. So, again, Saquon, I'm happy for him. I love the guy. I love watching him play. I think he's really corrected the world when it comes to paying running backs because this guy has been, in my opinion, the best player in the NFL this year. And I mean that. Obviously the MVP is a quarterback award. I think he's the best player in the NFL.
It would be fascinating to see if he could become the Super Bowl MVP after an incredible performance. So my next question would be, Luke, what has to go right for the Eagles to put a stop to the KC three-peat?
They have to. You talked about the run game. That's first and foremost. They have to be able to establish the run game and keep going. The next thing I'll say, Jay, is that within that, I really think the Eagles need to jump out to a very quick start. And that's specifically against Patrick Mahomes. The one thing you don't want to have happen, and we've seen it time and time and time again, is all of a sudden you're trading scores back and forth, and it's the fourth quarter, and Mahomes and Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo are sitting back over there giggling because whether it's the corner blitz that Spags dialed up, whether it's some sort of wild ring around the rosy play that Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes have been working on, they will pull it out and they will execute it. So I really think that right now, if I'm Vic Fangio, the defensive coordinator for the Eagles, I got to be locked in on this first 15. If we can somehow stop them, hold them to a field goal, which they've got a good defense to do it, all of a sudden now you're running the ball with Saquon. You're running the ball with Saquon. Gives you a little bit of breathing room, and you hope he hits a big one, and then all of a sudden you're looking at winning a Super Bowl.
Luke, right before the season began, you predicted that the Chiefs and Lions would be in the Super Bowl this year. And that was a terrific prediction, and you were obviously half right. Chiefs are in. Here's my next question. You also picked the Chiefs to beat the Lions in the Super Bowl. Now they're playing the Eagles. Are you sticking with that pick? Chiefs to win this thing.
Jay, this is where I'm at, and I haven't fully decided yet. I've gone back and forth. I go back and forth. I believe the Philadelphia Eagles have a better roster. I think outside of the quarterback position, you're pretty much taking every position group of the Philadelphia Eagles. You look at this Philadelphia defense. You got Jalen Carter. You got a great defensive line. Bond is potentially the defensive player of the year. He's been nominated. The secondary, even though they're young, has been phenomenal. Offensively, we just talked about the offensive line they have. Saquon is the best player in the league. Their receivers are ridiculously talented. I love Dallas Goedert in this offense too. So everything I look at says take Philadelphia, except for two things. And that's Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. And I'll throw Spags in there. So at the end of the day, do I think that, if you're asking me who I think is going to win, I still do believe KC is going to win. That might change by Sunday because I'm back and forth. I think Philly has the better team. But I do really believe that Kansas City will find a way because of Patrick Mahomes and this tremendous, tremendous coaching staff.
Luke, all week we've been asking everybody down in New Orleans for TSN for the Super Bowl this very important question. Over under 8 beignets. Are you over or under, Luke? Over under 8 beignets for the week. What do you think?
Right now, I'm at 4. So that's a great line. I am at 4. I can't confirm that. I have sources. So I'm at 4 right now. I think I'm going to be, I think that we might push here. I think by the end of the week, it's a push for me. I'll probably be right at 8.
How are you with the powdered sugar? Are you able to maintain the powdered sugar? Because I understand it's a bit messy.
Well, to be honest, the first beignet I had, I was actually wearing this suit. So at the moment, it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
But I will say, the way home, I'm not going to make the comparison because it's probably inappropriate, but I was wearing sugar. Let's just put it that way. It was really a poor look, and I was wondering why everyone on the street was looking at me, and I'm like, oh, well, that's because I have an entire beignet powder all over of this suit. But I got home, I wiped it all off, came off quite nice, I would say.